Rayzr. Hey, welcome back to Sketchin with Rayzr, and today I am drawing another art piece using a tutorial from Line Sensei. This one is a simple pose where you're essentially drawing a character in a squatting position. One of the reasons why I wanted to try this was because I was having issues with drawing the proportions on it's kind of weird. Having trouble drawing proportions of a bent leg. So I know I've had issues where I would draw, the bent leg and the proportions, like the size and the length of each leg would be different and varied, as well as I would have the upper portion of the leg either too big in regards to the lower portion of a leg, because when you're bending your leg, the lower portion of your leg folds inwards, and sometimes I would have the lower half of the leg too small for the upper section of the leg, so it kind of looked like a huge thigh connected to this tiny shin and foot, and I wouldn't notice it until after the fact. So I've decided to just follow this tutorial, as well as what I usually like to do to make things fun when I'm learning a tutorial is I like to add a character to said tutorial. Today, the character I'm going to be drawing is Spider Gwen, which is kind of weird because I believe her character in her own story is just Spider Woman, but because we know her as Gwen Stacy, she is named Spider Gwen. But definitely not something she would want to call herself in her universe, because then it's like, oh, what? Your name is Gwen? Let's put two and two together and figure out what your secret identity is, So that's fun. But in terms of Spider Gwen, I've always liked her costume. I think that was honestly, I've never actually read her comics. I've listened and sort of watched people talk about her comics on YouTube, and that's how I've interacted with her character, aside from the Spider-Verse movies. And I believe it was something else. It was the Spider-Verse movies, and it was the Spider-Verse comics. Yeah, it was like a set of comics where a whole bunch of spider people came together. But yeah, I've always liked her costume. It was something up with the black, white, and pink with the blue accent shoes. So it was really cool. I thought it was a great mesh of colors that just worked very well. Especially the blue accent color, because it's literally the only bluish related thing on her costume. Actually, now that I think about it, I think the web color on her arms, I think it's also blue. I believe so, but it works very well. I'm not sure if it's like a complementary color sort of thing, but it works perfectly. Another design that I've seen that I think works even better than just the flat foot blue shoes is the blue ballerina shoes, which works really well because these spider people are normally very agile and nimble, and they're always flipping around and whatnot. So I think that works perfectly. I also didn't realize until looking up research for her poses, but apparently she had her own version of a quote-unquote Spider-Verse called a Gwenverse, where it's like variations of her. Man, this Marvel and DC just going overboard with the whole multiple universes of this and that. It's like, all right, after a while, of course it starts off as, oh, that's cool. Let's see what this character looks like in this sort of situation, or what if this character had this type of powers. It's cool initially, but when it's overdone, it's overdone. But when I saw the Gwenverse thing, I kind of rolled my eyes, but I mainly needed it for the pose. And the reason why I'm doing another reason why I'm doing this particular pose is because there is a very famous instance of shrink, like a famous shrink feat that was done by Spider-Man in his comic, where he was essentially underneath like a huge pile of rubble and there was water building up and he couldn't get out of it because all of the rubble was on top of him. He struggled initially and thought to give up, but then dug deep down and found a way to find some inner strength to struggle and push through. And he lifted the entire structure up and off of his body. It was really well done, well executed, and I really liked it. So I figured, why not do something similar with Gwen and have her in the midst of lifting something very heavy. I didn't quite know what to do with the background, of course, as usual, but I sort of simplified it to her just lifting something heavy and, it being in front of a colored background. Keep things simple, because I didn't want to spend too much time and effort on the background, as I mainly want to focus on getting the pose down and the proportions correctly. Yeah, you guys can let me know if it looks accurate enough. One of the things that I noticed that will help me with this from now on is when the leg bends, the heel of the foot seems to stop at the connection where the butt or the gluteus maximus meet. So it's like just at that connection between the gluteus maximus and the I don't know the actual name of the muscle at the back of the leg, but at that connection is where the heel meets. So it seems. Well, actually, maybe not, because I'm bending my leg now, and it kind of feels like, oh, this is weird. My shin seems to be longer than the upper. What is? Oh my gosh, do I have weird legs? Oh man, am I some sort of freak of nature? What's happening? But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys have a good one, and make sure to keep your mind, body, and soul razor sharp.